Hello watchers, runners and gods of the time stream. Grab the cheap audio input cable to your left. Wrap your arm around a somewhat startled stranger to your right, and join us to talk about all things Siv Redthistle. When my man Whitebird heard that Jarred Kjack had graciously agreed to come on the show, he was so overjoyed that he asked to handle the audio for us tonight. Thanks, babe.
Always, which no one is ever surprised because we just started talking off stream and that's how I roll. So without further ado, let's bring on the mysterious, the amazing, the busy Jarred Kjack.
Hey!
Hi, Jarred.
What's going on?
Long time no talk.
They were saying you were muted during your amazing monologue, which is tragic. Because I heard it.
I thought it was great. It was just for you.
Yeah.
Can they hear me now?
I don't know. Hey, watchers, can you heard? Yep, we heard nothing. Can you hear her now? Yes, everyone's saying yes.
I thought it was a great intro, but at least you
She just said that she regretted everything that she ever said about Siv and how amazing he is. And about how...
Yeah, well, you guys can lip read later and tell me if that's what I said. Stay tuned. Oh, Jarred, we're going to get into it.
Yeah.
But I thought I would start by asking you. I wanted to actually start with something fun. We're going to go back to the beginning first.
Yeah, let's talk about kittens.
No, we're going to talk about kittens last, Jarred.
Oh, okay.
All right. Last. I actually thought it would be fun to start with. I know that a fun tidbit about Siv, when you first auditioned, my understanding, you can hear to set the record straight in case I'm wrong, he was not originally a Tabaxi, is that correct?
Yeah, no, that's absolutely right. I hadn't watched a lot of like D&D streams. I said this a couple times in like when we did the rundown and what have you, but I hadn't watched any D&D streams at all before I auditioned for this. I love acting, I love improv, and I love Dungeons and Dragons. So you would think I would have watched at least one of those shows, and I hadn't seen any before we all auditioned. And I had this really cool character concept that I had worked out in my head about this goblin rogue who, was just trying to make it with the humans and the elves. Like he didn't fit in with the goblins, so he was trying to, see who would let him hang out in their posse. And that's who I auditioned with the first couple rounds or what have you. And then even when we got into the room and we were doing chemistry reads and what have you. And it wasn't until after I got cast when Jeff was like, "Hey, Jarred, how about we get ramen?" And I was like, "Yeah, I like ramen." Actually, he said, "Let's get food." And I said, "Ramen?" And he said, "Sure." So we went and got ramen and he was like, "Yeah, you can't be a goblin rogue." And I was like, "What? Why? I thought it went great." And he goes, "Yeah, there's a character on Critical Role that's way too popular that's a goblin rogue, and we don't want to be, we are already going to get compared to them on a regular basis. We don't want you to literally be playing another similar race, similar class." And I was like, "Okay, well, I'm an actor, so here's my elevator pitches." And I just started pitching him all these different character concepts. And I got to a cat who's a rogue, but has a pet that's a mouse. And he was like, hold it, stop. That's what you're playing. And I was like, really? Because I have like 10 more ideas. And he's like, no. I love it. That's what you're playing. And I was like, okay, cool. So I morphed the name a little bit, but then that ended up getting my brain spinning. And I was like, well, what about Sivrak? Because that was his name originally. Did I like? What do I want to keep? What works with a Tabaxi and what doesn't work? And that actually helped me develop this is who he was and this is who he wants to be. And that was the basis of Siv Redthistle, about this whole idea of this person that wanted to reinvent himself. because he was asked to do these terrible things, and now he wants to be a good person. Because everybody that plays a rogue at some point has that question. Do I want to be the evil rogue, or do I want to be the good rogue? Do I want to be Robin Hood, or do I want to be that, shady, shifty guy that stabs people on alleyways and takes their stuff? And I was like, wouldn't it be interesting to play a character in a fantasy world who rides that line, and he has a really hard time deciding, which way he wants to go. And then meeting the other player characters, especially Lily, meeting the other player characters helped me choose and helped me stay on that path. Which is why when all this stuff went down with Vic, he really empathized with her, because he was like, well, that's what I would have done. That's me. The whole reason why, she's dead and I'm not is because I've been given this second chance and she was never given that. So that's why it messes him up so much to do all the things that he's been doing.
Just
like carrying her around inside of a bag of holding.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So to clarify, Jared, you're probably gonna make me cry by the end of this. I love Vic. I think I've told you that. I absolutely love the chemistry between Siv and Vic. It's I don't know how in a max of 10 minutes of screen time, maybe less, you managed to evoke that, both of you, Jeff as Vic and you as Siv, it managed to evoke so much freaking emotion. It's insane. But I did want to clarify. So when you started the show, you as Siv did not know which way it was going to go. It was as you were playing that you made that decision.
Oh yeah. I very, very easily could have gone down a much darker path. And when we were playing, I can't remember any specific episodes, but when we were playing, there were a couple times where had it not been for the other player characters, I know which choice would have been the more attractive one. You know what I mean? Like in certain interactions with NPCs and just overall choices. Because you'll see when we get to Olsvach, you'll see where he comes from and why he is the way that he is. It'll be much more apparent at that point. Vic is a great through line to that backstory, but I hope that the watchers, and who knows what's going to happen. I mean, anything could happen between here and Olsvach, but hopefully the watchers get to see a little bit of Olsvach and they get a taste of that, and they'll be like, oh, that's why he views the upper class the way that he does. That's why he doesn't trust anyone, and he assumes that everyone's playing a con, and that's why he knows what he has to do to survive. And if you are having to choose constantly on a regular basis between doing something that is wrong and surviving, and you're always choosing survival because you have to, how does that shape a person?
Oh yeah. And again, a nod to Jeff for, I think, like you said, I think Vic definitely embodied that. Definitely. And I will say, Jared, one of the most asked questions for me to ask you tonight was, what can we expect from Siv and when he returns home with Vic? So you just naturally, I'm sure that is a teaser that everyone is going to be clinging on to until we get there, because everybody really wants to know.
And Jeff and I have talked about Olsvach at length, because he's like, hey, this is a city, in my world. I want to be on the same page. And I was like, yeah, I want to be able to answer a question. If Uggo turns to me and says, hey, why is everyone washing their hands? I'll go, well, this is why. And I won't even have to look at Jeff. I won't even have to ask Jeff, well, does Siv know why this is happening? I'll know exactly why. I'll know the reason, Which
is amazing. And I think that's a testament of how just in your character you are and how passionate you are about this. I think it's
Yeah.
a testament. I think it speaks for itself. And yeah, I can't underestimate the number of people that just they want to get there. They're like, yes, Jared this, and I'm like, I'm already excited myself. You're teasing it, so we're all gonna just be waiting.
Yeah. Well, we'll see how many more.
exciting.
Spoiler alert! We'll see how many more giant slugs we have to mow through before we can get there.
Hopefully, a lot. We'll see.
Yeah.
Stay tuned. Stay tuned. I did want to ask, and this also was a very asked question in the community. If you can, and only if you can you kind of explain to us what's going on with Siv's accent right now?
Yeah,
he's very much a talked about conversation.
Yeah, he's torn. He's very torn because I think Vic obviously brings out the old Sivrak, but he's still with his group of new friends. And at one point, he's also revealed to them that technically Siv Redthistle isn't who he really is. It's who he wants to be. And so there are times where I'm speaking as Siv Redthistle, and I think inside my head, this doesn't feel right. And so I just switch. Like it feels wrong in that moment that I'm pretending to be this other person, even if it is a better version of myself. It just doesn't feel honest. And so I constantly am checking in with myself and saying, am I Siv Redthistle in this moment, or has that been peeled away to show the old Sivrak? And I think Fahima being gone, it felt weird being Redthistle in that moment. It just didn't feel right. And I think it was Cam, the Fog Pal. She even asked me at one point in the Discord, she was like, hey, so what's the deal with the accent? Are you doing it because of this? Are you doing it because of that? And I mean, she had good points. She was, legitimately asking me if there was like a method to my madness. And the method is literally just me asking myself, does this feel honest and truthful in this moment to be Siv Redthistle? And especially because we're dealing with all the Vic stuff and going to Ulsvach and what have you, I feel like a lot of the old Siv is wanting to come back badly. And there have been a couple times, even recently, where I've really wanted to do something bad or say something harsh. And I had to bite my lip because we're also, we're going through a moment right now, I think, where this is like our second chapter. And if you're in a 3-chapter series or a 3 movie arc or whatever you want to call it, this is that moment where we're really being tested as a group, as a family, as a group of friends, really tested. And I think Siv / Jarred can see that, and if he goes too far to the dark side, then we're done, or at least Siv's done, So it's hard. Like when you see Uggo and James yelling at each other, it's real tempting to just walk away. Just walk away. I don't need that. I don't want to be a part of that. And it doesn't help. And then I look over at Lily and I'm like, I can't just walk away,
Really?
Yeah. And she, to her credit, Katie and I think both knew in that moment we couldn't, not say something and try to get them to see eye to eye or connect, or at the very least, maybe not see eye to eye, but at the very least, try to understand a little bit about where the other person is coming from. Because I think Uggo and James, deep down, are both good people. And I said that to James. But the way they communicate, the way they behave, the way they act, the way they view things, the world, is violently different from one another. And because Katie is playing Lily in such a way where she's very kind and understanding and patient, and I think Siv can see moments in James where he's like, I get it. I understand where you're coming from and what you're trying to do, but yelling and screaming is not going to get you what you want. If you want people to listen to you, the last thing you ever want to do is raise your voice. And I think them coming back together at the end of that made the, for lack of a better term, like turmoil that was happening with me, with Jarred and with Siv, worth it. It was worth sticking it out. It was worth, watching your two friends yell at each other, so long as after it's done, they can, hopefully make some form of peace.
Okay. So much in there, Jarred. One, I want to take a second to shout out Cams of Fog Pile. They are amazing and they are very insightful. We very much often talk about this show. And they said in chat, the way he's literally answering all of the questions I had is hilarious. And everybody's saying that argument really was an amazing moment. Yes, chat, I'm still reading you. Yes, Sean, this is tea and this is water. I always had 20 drinks at my disposal at all times. Jarred, I also wanted to ask, in that argument, you said that you and Katie, almost without even talking, were like, okay, we have to help. Siv wanted to run, but you stepped in. Specifically, you went after James. And what did it mean for Siv to tell James in their private conversation when he, put his hand on his shoulder and he was just like, your words matter? Like, where did that come from for Siv, and why was that moment important?
Well, I think James is one of the few people that has called Siv out in the past for some of his choices, some of the things that he's done, especially when it endangers people that he cares about, like Nance and the rest of the party now. But I understood his frustration. Like I was upset too. And I could totally feel what he was going through, all the way, the buildup all the way to when he exploded. And I immediately regretted mentioning Fahima when I did, because I knew it was going to spark something between the two of them. I was like, oh, Jarred, you moron. What are you thinking? We just got through all that crap. And it was just organic. It was just me, role playing my 8 wisdom, I guess. But also going all the way back in time, going back to when we were in the belly of that boat, and he said, hey, and Morgan, not just James, but Morgan got a lot of flack for saying what he said, which was, hey, I got my eye on you, essentially. I don't fully trust you, and if you pull those kinds of shenanigans again, we're gonna have words. And I think at the moment, I sort of just shrugged it off and played it like, whatever, dude, what are you gonna do to me? You can't touch me. But as time goes on, especially when he sees James and Fahima and Lily gaining power at such a exponential rate, I think he realizes that not only does he need to, watch what he does, but also that we have a real shot at doing something great. We actually have a legitimate shot at helping people. And I think in Siv's mind, before all of this started to transpire, the only way he could see helping people was to steal as much wealth as he possibly could from the people that don't deserve to have it, and to spread it amongst the people that need it the most.
Right, the Oshvaz way.
Yes, exactly. But now, especially with all of the Warden visions and the way each of the characters is kind of developing, what have you, I think he legitimately sees hope. Legitimately. And it's not just him playing another game or trying to wrap James around his finger. He's like, hey, if we play our cards right, we have a shot at this. And that to me, if we're going back to the second movie analogy, that to me is that shifting point, that turning point, where it's like, we cannot let this happen again. We cannot let ourselves be shattered and sent to the four winds. We have to work as a team no matter what. Even if there are times where we drive each other nuts and make each other furious, we have to look past that.
Well, that's not only amazing insight, but the motivational level to, like you said, get through those arguments, get through those, like, just how powerful that must be in the grand scheme of things to kind of, I think that shows a lot of like why Siv keeps bouncing back, kind of helps him.
Yeah.
He may have his moments, but he comes back. That's very,
Yeah,
I also,
it's not just Lily, although Lily is definitely a big contributing factor. There are other reasons why Siv sticks around.
No, I'm serious. I love that. That's really good to know. Not only is your guys' ship a very amazingly debated topic, especially on the watch party, but no, like, I love finding out what other motives Siv does have, because there has to be more than just that, at least in my perspective. So it's just really nice to hear some of the other motivations and things that Siv holds on to.
Yeah, the reality is, if it was just Lily, let's say it's just Treasure and Lily, and those are the only two things that Siv cares about, he would just start working on Lily and convincing her that this isn't going to work. The group isn't going to work. We're not going to succeed. We need to bail on this. I got a better idea. And then convince her to leave. So if it was just those two things, that would be his MO. But it's not. It's not. Yeah. And I think for a while there, I don't even think Siv knew that. I don't think I knew that. I don't think there was a strong secondary or tertiary motivation. I think that has just organically come out of all of this stuff that we've been through and the stuff that we've worked through and the moments that we've had together. Because to be honest with you, those episodes that we just went through recently without Fahima felt odd. They felt not like awkward as in like, how are we going to figure this out, or what are we going to do, or wow, it sucks to not have our fireball wizard anymore. It legitimately changed the chemistry of the show. And so those moments where we were like, well, if Fahima was here, this is what she would say, or this is what she would do. Those really hit home, and Fahima for a long time had a very strong moral compass. And I know that's getting kind of grayed now because of the Ashen Mage and power and blah, blah, blah. But for a long time, her and Lily were the two people that were like, no, we need to do what's right here. We need to, help these creatures or help these people.
I like that. Mazakil in chat says it was odd watching it as well.
I do respect Jeff for doing it, though, because I think the one thing that I have to give him credit for is I don't think that's been done on another D&D stream, to my knowledge, to have a split group where they have a split storyline happening, parallel to one another. And not only did it teach us what works and what doesn't work, but it also gives us something really strong to feed off of going into these next few episodes. you know?
Oh yeah, I thought it was great. No regrets. I know you weren't there, but I enjoyed every single second we got with Fahima and her
Yeah.
shenanigans.
Well, I had to scratch my D&D itch in Ron's game outside of our game, just to make sure that I fed the gamer itch, because getting 2 hours every week was not enough for good old Jarred.
Interesting. I'll note that. I didn't want to forget. I have to say though, I think that going back a little bit, I'm surprised to hear that Morgan / James got so much flack for that moment. By the way back in the belly of the ship, because I think I've told you, but I that episode, first of all, was the episode I decided, dang, I'm in the show. I'm in it. Like I swear. You guys know I don't just say things. I don't. That was the episode that not only really truly hooked me to the show, but that specific scene with Siv and James. This is the first D&D stream that I actively attempted to watch, and I just remember thinking, oh, they can have that tension within their group. I didn't know that was a thing. This is awesome. Like the fact that, I love the fact James stood his ground, and I got that kind of like, oh, okay, but like Siv, what? He was just kind of like, like I loved that. That was genuinely the moment and the episode that hooked me to the show. So I find that kind of funny that they got
Great.
It was amazing. Truly, it was a beautiful moment. Still to this day, one of the best episodes. It was magic. I just had to get that out there because it was truly magic. Also, I have to go back to hopefully I don't cry, but to Vic, while we go to the journey, I wanted you to kind of touch, if you can and want to, a little bit on Siv's reaction when James told him what Vic said to the answer of his question.
Yeah.
Only if you want to, and if it's, because Siv didn't react much in the moment.
Yeah, I think there was still a lot of denial going on in that moment. And I think James saying that he has the capability to talk to Vic even though she's dead. Like in Siv's mind, when somebody's dead, they're gone. Like there's no there's no coming back. There's no soul. Like the soul's gone. So all that's left is this vessel, and I just wanted to give her a little bit of rest. I wanted to give her the peace that I've found, with my new friends, and the joy that I've been able to experience. I wanted her to get a slice of that. And I almost told James not to cast the spell, just because it was still a little too fresh. But I also knew that she had a lot of information that we really needed. So once again, it's kind of, you take a couple pulls off the bottle and you just, tell them to hold the burning, fire poker to your wound and cauterize it, because you just want it to be done. You just want it to be over with. Rip the Band-Aid off, so to speak. And it was fruitful, maybe not as much as what everybody would have liked, but we do know in Zhang, however we're going to pronounce it, is the Chrono Dragon's body. So we got something.
Nice, smooth save. Smooth attempt at the save, Jared.
Yeah.
Forrest Self in chat says that was the definition of too soon. Which, hey, I get it. Also fun. Someone in chat said 3, 2, 1. I was literally tearing up. It's been that kind of day. I can't stress enough how emotionally invested I am in that dynamic. But I will say, hilariously enough, chat absolutely loves during the live show when you look back at the map every time. Every time, chat gets an absolute kick out of it.
I did it at first for decoration, but it's actually come in useful a couple of times. I'm like, wait a minute, why don't we just go to Biverby? Biverby's right there. And they're like, no, we have to go back to Dalto Thum. And I'm like, why? And they're like, to get the Vardo and the Achirite. And I'm like, okay, that's a valid point. We will go back.
So also circling around, because I did want you to touch a little bit on Siv's thoughts about Fahima spending time in the Ashen Mage. Keeping in mind now that I know some more of Siv's motivation, his determination, what keeps him focused in the game and on the right path. What was Siv's thoughts about Fahima spending so much time with the Ashen Mage?
I mean, I think he was a little bit worried at first, but unlike everybody else, he knows what it's like to be completely surrounded by powerful, evil people. And if you're going to go that route, you're going to go that route. Like, not a lot you're going to be able to say or do, especially from, miles and miles away, especially when they have your father, taken captive, which is all she's been talking about for the last, 10 or 20 episodes, as far as her backstory goes, is where's my dad? Where's my dad? I'm just trying to reach my dad. And then to have somebody finally say, I know where your dad's at. I have him. See this picture right here. Poof, poof, magic, magic. Yeah, of course you're going to, make that decision. And there was an Alka, and she was threatening to kill all of us. I mean, she didn't have a choice. I was fully expecting that choice to be my choice. So I was a little caught off guard at first when it was like, I'm not here for you. I'm here for her, as in Fahima. So, that surprised me a little bit. But then I thought about it and I was like, yeah, that makes perfect sense. She doesn't need me. I'm totally expendable.
Don't say it.
I wasn't gonna say useless. I'm definitely not useless. Expendable, not useless. Yeah. So and then the more I thought about it, the more I was like, well, any of us have that choice at any moment. We can leave this group. We can cut and run. I have the bag of holding. I have the majority of the treasure. I could leave anytime I want, literally. Lily could just go back to Bingle, where her family is at. Like, why stick with us? Like, we all have motivation to not do what we're doing. We also have this very strong desire to accomplish what we've started, and we also think, at least I do, that we might be the only ones capable of doing this. We might be the ones that the wardens have chosen to maybe replace them,
And that's Siv's, but that's what Siv's thinking right now?
Well, that's just one hypothesis that I have. I could be
that you have or Siv
terribly wrong. What's that?
That you have or that Siv has?
Both.
Okay.
That's why Siv, honestly, for a while there, when we were stuck back in time, was like, we're being tested. We're all being tested. And it's gonna get worse. And when we come back to our real bodies, I won't be surprised if we're not given a choice. Now, I didn't expect the Chrono Dragon to give us that choice. I thought it was going to be the Wardens, but I did expect to have a moment where it was like, hey, you're going to have to give up everything you know and everything you care about to become a Warden. Are you okay with that? And
Siv said no.
I changed my mind, yeah. At first I said, yeah, you can, do what have you with the Baojai and Chomel and what have you. But then when I was asked that question a second time and
point blank too,
and worded in such a way to where I realized that everything that I had worked so hard for up until that point, things that I did not take for granted, things that I very much was aware of coming from Olsvach and then joining this group. No, I wasn't going to give that up. No. But,
does Siv still feel the same way right now? Is he still in the same line of thinking?
I think right now his he's got a lot going on. There's a lot going on. Yeah. So I think right now he's just focusing on the mission and keeping people, I'm going to say, optimistic and positive and hopeful about our odds. I think those are his two biggest goals immediately. Down the long haul, I think it would be very, very, very difficult, almost impossible for him to say, I'm willing to give it all up for the people of Vine. I think it'd be really hard for him to do that. I want to say that I would do that, but I'm not Uggo.
Right.
I'm not Uggo. Uggo is like, you know, I would die any day of the week and twice on Tuesday for any number of people in this group and in the rest of the world. And Siv doesn't think like that because he's seen too many good people die needlessly. Yeah. And if anybody deserves to die, it's the people at the top that get to make all the decisions, not the people down in the slime that are suffering because of those people at the top. So he would want to go out. He would rather go out in a blaze of glory, trying to take, you know, the bad guy out than just say, you know what,
self-sacrifice,
wipe my mind and turn me into a giant warden that that battles evil on a daily basis.
So on that note, because we got to see, or especially on the Discord, a lot about what Ron/Uggo and James/Morgan feels about it. But on that note, what does Siv think about what's going on in terms of the fact that there is information being out there that's been held and kept secret? Like, where is his head on those types of discoveries they're finding?
Yeah, that's normal. That's life.
So he's not even fazed by that at all?
No. Everyone has secrets. Everyone. And everyone will lie given the right situation. Because you have to. You have to. And sometimes lies are better than the truth. Especially white lies. You know, little, I keep giving air quotes. I need to stop doing that. Little, you know, innocent lies that you do to protect someone you care about, you know? And that's something that I don't think Uggo understands at all. You don't have to tell somebody that they're capable of great evil. Everyone is totally capable given the right situation. Telling them that just makes them second guess whether or not they're going to make that choice.
Interesting. Oh, I have so many questions, but I'll leave it to organically play out. I will. But on that very heavy, amazing note, Jarred, thank you again for being here today. You're amazing.
Yeah, this was fun.
No, we're not done yet.
Okay.
We're not done. You're not done yet.
Are we talking about kittens now? Is this the happy puffy part of the interview?
Almost. Okay. I wanted to ask you on that heavy note. We were talking about this a little bit before we came onto the stream. What do you do then with the D&D sometimes being so heavy, and you, amazing as you are, good sir, getting so in it and being so emotionally drained from the scenes? How do you manage that? Like,
yeah, well, I mean, I don't plan on it being emotional. I certainly, if you had asked me when we started this journey, if you had been like, hey, how many times do you plan on openly crying during the show? I probably would have said 0 to 1.
Really?
Yeah. I'm actually, in real life, I'm a pretty stoic person. I'm not a super emotional guy. But that's why I love acting so much, because it's allowed me in my life to be more okay opening up and being emotional in front of other people. And this show has obviously done that as well. And it's definitely a credit to the cast and Jeff and the show as a whole. that I feel comfortable enough to do that. Because I mean, there are still times where I go on an audition and I can tell they just want me to cry. They they just want me to bawl like a baby. And if I'm not invested in the scene or the character, or it's a commercial for like dog food or something, I'm going to have a really hard time going there, because I don't have that instant waterworks gift that a lot of actors have. I can't think about a time where I was really sad and make myself sad and cry. I have to actually feel it. I have to actually, and I won't even know when it's going to happen or when it's going to, you know, trigger something in me. So yeah, it's a big credit to the show and the cast. One of the things that I've been more aware of, and this is something that I've talked to the cast and Jeff about, is that I feel like, especially with as heavy as the world is right now, with the election transpiring when it happened, and COVID and you know, the economy and jobs, and I have a lot of friends and family that have been hit very hard by all of this. People also want an escape, and that escape can be an emotional escape and allow you to feel the way you need to feel and kind of open up those doors and allow yourself to be a human being. We also need to, as a show and as storytellers, find the lighter side of the story as well. And that's why I love the last episode that we had, maybe even the last two episodes, where there have been those funny, silly, zany, lighter moments. And I think finding the balance between those two is what makes a good show a great show. And there are times where we dwell too long in the sadness, or we're too silly. But I think striving for that equilibrium is key. And I know we constantly check in with each other, you know, saying, hey, how did that feel? How did that go for you? What did you think? You know, what are your thoughts and feelings? And what do we want to do in the next show? You know, that one was really heavy. Should we do a lighter episode this next time? Do we want to? Well, we're going to have to talk about Vic, so it's not going to be that light. Oh, okay. All right. Well, we're going to go there, but maybe for the other half of the show, you know, I don't know what happened with Jessica and Fahima, but maybe that wasn't too heavy, or maybe that was extremely heavy. But then that makes this last episode that just happened, which I thought was on the lighter side of things,
it was
such a nice surprise or relief, because nobody wants to watch something that's sad constantly all the time. I mean, I don't know. There's some
there's people out there.
there's a couple shows out there that's more or less their MO. But like, my wife loves watching comedy. If she could just watch comedy nonstop all the time, comedic shows, you know, if Seinfeld were still on or whatever, she would just be watching that and never watch anything sad. But I like a mix. And I think we strive for that. And the more we hit that nail on the head, the better off we are.
I could not agree more 100%. I really do think it's a balance. I don't want to sit here and watch, you know, silliness 24/7 either. There has to be a balance. And for the most part, you guys do an amazing job at the balance.
Yeah.
But it is interesting hearing it from you, though, like your perspective and the fact you guys check in with each other. Also, just a fun fact for you, not me, but there are so many people who reach. I'm glad you shared all that, because there's so many people who go, Jess, I just don't know if Jared's okay. I just don't like, guys, he's just that dang good of an actor. Like, he's fine. I can't promise you, but so many people, you're just so good at being in character. It's so believable to the point where people think that you're emotionally not okay.
Yeah, I'll go there. I will go there. Yeah, there are actors out there that I feel like everybody has their thing that they do really well. you know, their genre that they nail, you know. And I think, I don't know what it is about me or about my acting background or my background in my life, or just the way that I connect with people or the way I view people and the world.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not afraid to go to that dark place. And I know that makes some people uncomfortable. And it is a family show, so I don't want to go too dark.
I love it.
Yeah, but I
do.
Like I said, I could definitely have seen Siv going a very different way, and it's probably a good thing that, you know, the majority of the group are good people.
Okay, before we get into Kittens and Happy, do
Yeah.
you prefer playing a darker character or more lighter-hearted character?
Yeah. For Dungeons and Dragons, I think having something in your past that gives you a strong motivation is key. Why are you an adventurer?
Mm-hmm.
And if you're just an adventurer because you just want gold, that's not enough. That can be part of it, but that's not enough for me. So what's your motivation? What's really getting you to go out there and risk life and limb to accomplish your quest, whatever it may be? And I feel like sometimes in really great storytelling, whether it's a novel or movie or whatever, that thing that motivates you is a trauma. And that trauma doesn't necessarily have to be tragic.
Right.
It's just something that changed you as a person, or made you see the world in a different way, or allows you to, it could even be something that allows you to look at the world with compassion, you know, and makes you a really caring, loving, kind, outgoing, optimistic, happy, puffy person. No, it could.
I know, you're just amazing at the adjectives.
Right. But I feel like there needs to be something, you know. Why is the question that I always ask. Why am I here? Why am I doing this? Why do I care? Yeah. And so I would say most of my characters are going to have some kind of trauma. Now, whether that trauma makes them a darker character, or it makes that trauma makes them a more happy, puffy, positive person, that is up to, you know, all kinds of other contributing factors and choices. Yeah.
Beautiful.
But I will say this, there's not a lot of people that are going to want to become adventurers if, you know, they own a vineyard and everything's going great, and they got a family with kids, and they're selling their wine and people like it, and food's plentiful, and there's not a lot of problems. Why become an adventurer at that point? Boredom, maybe?
Potentially.
Yeah. But then once you go get that dose,
you're done.
You're probably going to be done. You know, you're going to pull a Bilbo Baggins and be like, all right, that was enough.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, and I really do love that. And as a possibly maybe an overly passionate fan of the show, I love that. And I think for me that is my biggest kind of drive, is if you don't care about your character, why should I?
Sure.
And so that's why, Jarred, we know you care about your character. It shows. We're right there with you, is what I'm like, and it's true. And I really resonate with that. And that's why I love the show so much, is because everyone is so passionately into it. And so am I. Like, I'm right on there with that train with you. I'm right there. You guys are, it's just beautiful. So I agree with you. And
yeah, it's infectious. When you're around a bunch of people, I said this, oh man, I think maybe it was around holidays last year. I said this to everybody. I was like, I've never been a part of something where every single person that's involved gives 150% all the time. everybody. There's not a single person that's involved in this show, even when we were in the studio, that didn't care, you know? And people were everybody was doing something above and beyond what they needed to. Nobody was just coasting. And I can't tell you how many shows or shoots or anything that I've ever been a part of as an actor, where there's usually at least a handful of people, if not half of the people that are involved, that are just there for the paycheck. Like, they're just there because it's a job and they want to work, you know? They don't care about anything that is involved in doing what they're doing. And you can tell. You can
totally tell. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's like when you walk into a store or a restaurant or whatever, and you go up and ask for help, and they're like, "What? What do you want?"
Yes. Yeah. You can't, even if you try to fake it. You can tell. You can tell in a person's makeup, their mannerisms, their microaggressions. You can tell if they want to be there or not, and that helps you decide if you want to be there or not.
And 100%. I think that's actually what really fed us early on, in the beginning when we were getting the show up off the ground. Everybody was there. They were actively involved. They cared. They showed up on time, if not early, and they all had ideas and wanted to contribute, you know?
Yeah.
And that's huge.
Oh, yeah.
It's huge.
Oh, yeah. Almost done with you, Jarred. Not quite yet. Almost. I wanted to do some quick word association with you. If you're
okay.
Why you sound nervous?
I'm not nervous. I'm not nervous. Oh, okay. Although I have to remind myself to keep it PG-13.
I believe in you. Maybe. I want Jarred's opinions first, not Siv's.
Okay. Sure.
And chat, always don't hesitate to bring up people as you will. But I want to start with Jarred's opinion of Loudmouth.
Sad.
Okay. Jarred,
you just want one word, right? One word.
Whatever you can elaborate as much as you want, Jarred.
I shouldn't say sad. I should say pity.
Ooh, because those are very different things.
Yeah.
Oof. Okay. Torvald.
Frustration.
What is Siv's word association to Torvald?
That's a good one. I don't think Siv's thought about Torvald in a really long time. I think he's had way too much going on in his mind. So I don't want to go too dark, but I think dead.
I knew it.
Yeah.
That's just one for Torvald.
Especially because it's Jeff. Like if you are an NPC in Jeff's game, you have a very short life expectancy, my friend. And if you come into our storyline, that gets even shorter. There have been so many times where I was like, you're gonna die. It was nice meeting you. You seem like a lovely person. You're gonna die.
I love it.
You seem like you genuinely care about us. You're definitely gonna die.
Well, then that's good to ask then next, because I'm curious of Jarred's opinion on this. I've been dying for this. Chobran. You had to expect some hard questions from me, Jarred.
Yeah, he was just dumb. Like, he was just dumb.
I have so many feelings about that. Moving right along.
Yeah, I just, man. There was a reason why Siv stabbed him. There was a reason why he stabbed him.
We'll have to talk. The chat wants to say Savage Manders.
Oh God, that's it right there. Oh God, with an eye roll. That's Jarred's reaction.
Really?
Yeah, I think Siv's reaction is much more empathetic, but Jarred. I don't know. I honestly, I don't know what anybody expected. That's one of those moments where I was like, That's my character. Sorry. I mean, what did you expect was going to happen? I mean, you could be surprised that I got Uggo involved and that Uggo killed the clam. Yes, that can surprise you. But are you honestly surprised that Siv found out about a giant pearl inside of a clam from one of the Lottolites that wanted to help him out and didn't want to take advantage of it?
Jarred, you seem to have a lot of emotions.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that you just upset the cutest things in D&D history, and how can we not be upset?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, you can be your MO all you want, but that sadness, that clam. Everybody's been talking about the clam in chat this entire thing, by the way. Like everybody's been. So the clam.
Yeah, it's not about the clam. It's not about the clam. Let me put it to you. No, let me put it to you this way. It's about not living up to someone's expectations of you.
What do you mean by that?
What I mean by that is the salvage manders thought we were heroes. They thought we were these amazing people that they'd taken up out of the sea that were, they wanted to share their lives with. They were Ewoks, essentially.
Mm-hmm. And you just had to show them they were wrong.
And, well, Siv didn't think that far. He didn't think, how is this going to affect them? Mm-hmm. He just saw something that he really badly wanted and knew that we needed. And that want and that need and that desire was stronger than his forward thinking, Yeah.
That was beautiful. Everyone in chat all this entire hour has been saying, and he says he has an 8 wisdom. Hilarious. Inside check is what everybody is saying. I've been saving the best for last because I have to. What does Jarred think about Whitebeard?
What does Jarred think?
What does Jarred think about Whitebeard? That is the question.
Jarred thinks Whitebeard is hilarious. Jarred thinks he's hilarious.
Hilarious in what way?
Like jolly, crazy, drunken, partially psychotic old man. Yeah. Amazing?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if I use that
I think I heard you say that. Pretty sure I heard you say that. So you don't agree with Mr. Redthistle on good old Whitebeard?
No, I think Jarred would have treated Whitebeard very differently than Siv would. Siv saw Whitebeard as, again, wait till we get to Olsvach. He's got some very specific things in his past that Whitebeard triggered immediately.
Oh, so Whitebeard did trigger some of his stuff.
Yeah.
Very
for sure. For sure.
I personally, for no other reason at all, have just wondered, why is Siv so, what's my family-friendly way of saying it? What is his issue? It's my family-friendly way of saying, what is his problem?
Yeah.
Like, dang.
Whitebeard triggered Siv in a major way. And I think that's why he was so frustrated by the rest of the group, because they were all like, why are you so hell-bent on killing this guy? And in Siv's mind, he's like, because he represents literally all of the evil shit that I had to, all of the evil, terrible stuff that I had to grow up with. He is that guy. He is power, corrupt power, mind you, that is going unchecked. There's no checks and balances. He gets to do whatever he wants, whenever he wants, to whomever he wants, and no one's going to stop him. And in my mind, I was thinking, I have to stop him. If nobody else is going to do it, I'll do it. And Jeff at one point was even like, he's already dead. And I'm like, not in this timeline. He needs to die in this timeline too.
Two things. One, you say that everyone's going to die. I think Whitebeard made a very nice, long-lasting impression on this show. Had to say it. And two, does Siv notice any similarities between him and Whitebeard?
Oh, yeah, of course.
So he doesn't.
Why do you think he wants to kill him so badly? When you see somebody that represents a part of yourself that you despise or that you want to change, especially when he was like, hey, let's go to the fighting pits. I was like, are you serious right now? You want to go to fighting pits with me? Oh, we'll go to some fighting pits. Sure. Me and you. That's who's going to get in the pit.
So that was also part of Siv's dislike, because he did see a part of himself he didn't like.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. I mean, if you come from a background where, I don't want to make too many analogies, but if you come from a background where, you know, you have to do whatever you can to survive, which we've already established, but somebody gives you the opportunity to succeed in that world, in that trap, we'll call it, and maybe even dig yourself out of that hole, and they dangle that carrot in front of your face, and you snap on that carrot, and then they pull you up out of that hole, but all they do is they pull you out of one hole and place you in another. And that's exactly what Whitebeard was doing to us. He was saying, I'll help you, I'll give you what you want, but you have to do this for me. And this thing that I want you to do is just as bad as where I'm helping you out of. And in Siv's mind, he was like, we can literally go anywhere and do anything. Why do we have to go with this guy? Why do we have to do what he says?
Because he's amazing.
And I think the other players at one point were like, Jarred, because the dungeon master wants you to go along with it. And I was like, no, that's not how I play. That's not how I play. And that's not how anybody should play in Dungeons and Dragons. If you're a DM, my biggest advice to anyone who wants to be a dungeon master,
everybody listen up.
Number one key thing is nothing is precious. Nothing in your storyline, none of your NPCs, your quests, nothing is precious to you. The only thing that should be precious to you is to make sure that everybody at the table is having a good time. If everyone's enjoying themselves, whatever's happening in your story, you're succeeding. You are crushing it. And it is infinitely harder to run a game where everybody has a good time, including yourself, because it's about you too. Everybody's part of this storytelling process. It's infinitely harder to do that than it is to do something where you're enjoying yourself thoroughly, but nobody else is, or maybe one or two people at the table are. That is easy. Anybody can do that.
Yeah.
So that's my advice, and I'll get off my soapbox now.
Stay on that soapbox. I want to pat your soapbox a little bit, even though Siv drove me crazy. I appreciated it because, one, you're wrong. Whitebeard is precious. Sorry. But you've no idea the amount of stress that Siv caused me, which obviously sparked our feud with each other. But I was just like, can't you leave the man alone? The tension and my emotions were all over the place. But it was good. It kept me
when he turned on us and sold us out to the Shaz and Gao, all I wanted to do in that moment, I wanted to stop the show. I wanted to stop the show right then and there and turn to each of the other players and the watchers at home and go, I told you. I told you.
For the record, I want to remind you that was Siv's idea to sell the boy. Just saying. Beautiful, beautiful. On that note, happy kitties. Happy kitties.
Happy kittens.
Jared, last couple of questions just to lighten up the mood because we talked about it. Cats or dogs?
I mean, this may surprise you, even though I don't own a cat. I absolutely love cats.
That doesn't surprise me at all. You seem like a cat guy.
Yeah. We got the most cat-like dog breed we possibly could. We have a Shiba Inu. It's true. If you look it up, the most cat-like dog breed, Shiba Inu. They're cute little Japanese dogs. But that was a trade-off because my wife's mother, so my mother-in-law and my brother-in-law, her brother, are both horribly allergic to cats. So we were either going to get one of those hairless, hideous demon kitties, which I was tempted to do, or because I love cats that much, or get the Shiba Inu. And then we found a Shiba Inu and fell in love with her, and the rest is history.
Now you have a dog who wants to be a cat.
Yeah. She acts like a cat. She acts like a cat.
What's her name? The chat wants to know.
She's super picky. Freya.
Freya, that's so cute.
Yeah.
Cooking or baking?
Cooking. My wife bakes, I cook.
Okay, dance or sing?
Dance. Although I have to have some form of liquid libation before I can do either of those. I don't know. For those of you out there that saw me rap to
it was amazing.
Yeah, to Trisha, that was very nerve-wracking. That was the nervous I've ever been on the show. And I was at home in a booth talking to a camera with no one else, here. So, yeah, super nervous.
You did an amazing job, though.
Thanks.
Chat says you also did an amazing job.
Thanks.
And your poems and your singing, and you're very talented, but I'm sure you know that. Jarred, you are amazing. Unless there's anything that you want to say to the more advice you wanted to give to everybody, I, at the bottom of my heart, appreciate.
Yeah. I give out too much advice. I should probably save some of that advice for myself and listen to myself every once in a while, because I don't. I love to give advice. I'm terrible at taking it.
Like
my wife tells me that all the time. Yeah. Hey, you're really good at listening. You just don't actually absorb any of it.
Okay, so listening or talking? Which do you prefer to?
I think talking. Yeah. Although way back in the day, I seriously entertained because I had so many friends of mine telling me this. This was a long time ago, though. A lot of my friends were telling me I should be a psychiatrist, because they were like, wow, you're really good at listening and then asking certain questions and then trying to figure out, what's really wrong, as opposed to like what I'm complaining about or what I'm saying is the problem, and then making me think about that stuff. And then I think over time, the world and life just made me so jaded that now I don't listen to people as much anymore.
Why is a psychiatrist not a therapist?
Well, either or.
Difference?
Yeah.
Either.
I mean, psychiatrists can hand out medication, whereas therapists can just listen. Yeah.
I know. That's why I asked you.
Yeah. No. Either or. Drugs. I want my hands on the drugs. That's what it comes down to. You got me to say it.
I wasn't not a leading question, sir.
Not true.
You are amazing. Truly, this has been one of the most entertaining interviews.
This was fun.
Thank you.
Fun. Yeah,
I appreciate that. Maybe
you had a lot of good questions, so I'm giving it two paws up, 2 thumbs up from
2 paws
Siv.
up.
Yeah.
How many malls? I always rate. It's your turn, Jarred. Give it to me.
How many malls?
Yes, out of 10.
Oh, that's right. You guys use malls as like a currency. I would say because I was pleasantly surprised at how good the questions were. I'm going to give it 9 out of 10 malls.
You guys heard it here. Heard it here. Thank you, Jarred. A pleasure as always. We'll have to maybe do this again in the future, because you are a pleasure to talk to.
At some point. And if I don't see you before it happens, happy Thanksgiving, Merry Christmas, whatever holidays you celebrate. Everybody out there in Chatland, we're gonna be dark 1 week for Thanksgiving and 2 weeks for Christmas. So
same as last year.
Yeah, exact same. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, on that note, everybody, happy Thanksgiving. Can't wait to see you guys in the dungeon run in 2 days. Y'all are amazing. And with that being said, guys, take all of your own advice and Jarred's advice. Humankind, everybody. Be both.